George from Set the Standard. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. And yourself, Brad?
I'm doing great, man. Thanks for being here.
Yeah, no stress, mate. No stress.
Are you familiar with the blue and the red pill topic in the
Yes,
manosphere?
I'm familiar with the red pill, not so much the blue pill, but also the black pill. I've heard about the black pill as well. So I am quite familiar with those communities and how they sort of work. But you'd probably
Right.
have to
Okay.
explain the blue pill bit to me.
Yeah. So the red pill, you could generally say is what a lot of people online refer to as, a high value person or a high value guy, an alpha male,
Mm.
confident, successful, etc. And people would generally refer to blue pill as a guy who's beta, weak, a simp. I stumbled upon the concept of the red and blue pill, a few years back, and I would say that some of the red pill YouTubers, you could say, are going a little bit too far in the sense of not giving good dating advice to the majority of men. I find that some creators are spreading a message of, hey, this is how to treat women, this is how to date women. It might apply to certain people, but not the majority. For example, there's some guys that are creators that will say she's a hoe, etc., etc., etc. All girls are like this. And
Mm.
if you believe that, you can believe that, right? We're all entitled to our opinions and beliefs. But I would argue that it's not healthy to believe that, and it won't serve you. What's your opinion on that?
My opinion is, I think that the whole red pill community, I think how it's gone so far is it started off well about providing a positive message to men on dynamics between men and women and sort of how the world is going and how to be better as a man. And with those things in mind, I agree with that part of it. But where it's sort of gone is into more of an entertainment direction. And you can see podcasts like Fresh and Fit and other podcasts and, Sneaker and all these guys. And they've kind of taken it to this new level where they kind of use these OnlyFans girls as entertainment. And it's sort of, they're trying to paint a picture like all women are sort of like this, that they're all like hoes, they're all like this, they're all acting this way. And in the truth, it's not the case. It's just because they haven't really been exposed to the world of dating properly. Like they've probably just stayed within their own dating circle and they haven't properly traveled the world and met women from different countries or experienced different calibers of women in different environments. So I think that they just make their judgments based off women they meet in Miami clubs or bars, and I think that's a bit of an unfair assumption to kind of make.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with that. It seems as though there's a decent amount of creators that what you're saying, they're painting the girls from the clubs from Miami that party all the time, plus the OnlyFans girls, they label them as all women. And
Yeah.
are they women? Yes. There's different types of guys, there's different types of girls, there's different types of everyone, right? Universally, not everybody's the same. Can we say, okay, there's a lot of guys that act in this way or a lot of girls that act in this way, and we can attribute that to certain biological and psychological factors? Sure. But in assuming and painting the picture that all women are out to get you, or you need to make $1 million or more, you need to be 6'4" plus. I think it's a very dangerous philosophy to be teaching the majority of men because let's say you're an impressionable 14-year-old guy. You're just going through
Mm.
puberty. You're starting to become attracted to girls. You haven't really had any experiences, or maybe you just had a very few where you maybe kissed a girl or something like that. And for large and popular creators online to say, okay, this is how women are, this, without you having experience and meeting different girls, you're going to say, oh, wait a minute. All right, I'm going through puberty. I'm starting to be attracted to girls. I need to watch out for this. And I need to make sure that I have to do this and this and that. And are there certain pointers and good advice of like, hey, watch out, this might be a red flag in a girl? Sure, that's general good advice. No argument there. But it's very dangerous to say to a young man, all women are like this, because I'll be honest with you, George,
Go
when
for it,
I
bud.
was a little bit younger and before I had a little bit of experience with women, I started to watch those creators and I started to adopt that mindset. I said, "Oh, wait, maybe all women are like the same and you have to do this and it's all going to go wrong if this doesn't happen." And then I said, "Wait a minute." Then I in reality had some experiences, started to date some girls, started to meet people, started to become friends with girls. And I said, wait a minute, not all girls are the same. But see, obviously, if we don't have experience and we just listen to people blindly, it's a dangerous path.
I also think on that point that you say there is that guys that tend to always watch this type of content, it's super harmful because it puts a picture that women are bad, women are not, these women are like this, women are like that, and it paints a really bad picture for what dating's like, and it puts a unrealistic expectation. And the thing that I find is, even if you got those things, the type of women that you tend to attract into your life aren't usually the best either, because they're usually there once you get to that 6 figures, 7 figures. They're usually women that are there to use you for your resources or what you have. Or and cool, I agree that a lot of women want to be around a guy that's built something for himself, that's passionate, that's ambitious, but it also brings a lot of negative women. And I think those things you should really be doing for your own self-confidence, to build yourself up, and not just because you want to get women. I think the biggest mistake guys these days are making is, it's not actually what you have that's getting women. It's actually the mindset behind it. Totally. I teach with my dating course and my dating one-on-one coaching, I teach something called NLP, so neuro linguistic programming. So I change the way guys think, sort of like the red pill community does, but I get them to think in a way that is a bit different, and how to approach a girl, or how to be more confident, and how to see value in themselves. And the biggest secret really is, if you once you find value in yourself and you start doing things just for you, for yourself, and you don't need a woman, that's when women will actually come along and go, okay, cool. He's got stuff going on in his life. You got boundaries at a point. All the things that they talk about, you just automatically do anyways, because you got that respect for yourself and you're doing something with your life. So I think that's really the biggest secret to it altogether. And we should just say, like, yeah, I'm a badass motherfucker. I'm going this direction. I'm doing this right now. I'm doing that. And you should be like, okay, I see a woman there. Oh, she looks cute. Oh, I'll go and approach her and talk to her. Yeah, you have that confidence. The moment you start working on yourself, it will just all come. That's what I see.
That's a really good point. And I have realized through my research, observing other people in my personal life and with myself, when you chase women, that's when you'll get the least amount of them, or at least the lowest quality of a girl. Whereas, like you're saying, if you're working on yourself, you're trying to build a life for yourself, right? Maybe it's you want to get a certain job, you want to start a certain business, you're leveling up your fitness, you're leveling up your mindset, all these different areas, right? You naturally start to become more confident in yourself. A lot of people like to use the term online of like, "Oh, women can sniff this off of you." And I don't like that terminology, but in a sense, it's true. And that's not just for girls, it's for anyone. It's like when a guy walks into a room and he's got his shit together, me and you are sitting in a round table with five other guys. That guy walks in, we can tell. We can tell that he's got his
Mm.
stuff together. You can tell by his demeanor, the way he's carrying himself, the way he talks. Girls can pick this up on you. Other guys can pick this up on you. It's just human beings picking up on one another, consciously or unconsciously. And what comes with this? Generally speaking, respect, right? You can respect a guy that walks into a business office for a business meeting that is dressed like everyone else because he's got some muscle tone and you can and he's confident in his voice and what he's talking about, right? And so all of these things build up confidence in yourself, and then that naturally, not always naturally, but generally speaking, usually translates to talking to women. But not always, right? I mean, you can be really socially insecure and get really jacked in the gym and for the purpose of your own benefit and also maybe to get girls. But just because you're jacked doesn't always equate to the mental confidence, right? And of course, my question to you, if a guy comes to you and he's like, George, I feel like I'm so socially anxious, like I can't talk to women. I get this feeling like I'm just really anxious and really scared to just go and talk to a girl. But I want to go up to more women and I want to meet more girls and just, have cool experiences and just meet new people. What's your advice? What would you walk them through?
Well, So the first thing that he's already what he's doing wrong is mentally. I would mentally change that limit. So in his head, he's saying, I'm not the type of guy that gets women. I can't approach women. I want to, but I'm socially insecure. So when he tells himself these things, he will become that. It's the law of attraction. You say that, you become that. You do that. That's how he's acting because that's what he believes he is. But when he starts getting into the mindset that, okay, I'll start trying to reprogram his mindset to being, okay, I'm confident. I can approach women. Women find me attractive. Like just off the bat, even though he's not dating him, he'll be like, yeah, she finds you attractive, even though she's like whatever he thinks. And I'll start reprogramming his mind to be like, is this girl cool? Is she worth my time? I'll start doing that before he even starts going into the approach game. And I worked with a guy called Vincent, and this guy had never spoken to a woman romantically in his life, and he'd been friend zoned like you wouldn't believe. And what I did one day, I took him out on a weekend, changed his mindset, got him saying these things, reconfirming these things to himself, took him out, styled him up, he spent a bit of money on himself. And then what we did is I said, we're going to go out. I ran him through some, approaches and stuff like that. So you're going to go to the bar or club. First thing you're going to do is you're just going to start talking to people. And my biggest piece of advice is just start talking to people, become more social. And then eventually, when you're getting more social, just normal conversations, just have a just genuine conversation. Like even could start with the basics, asking the time from a random, or just commenting on something, and just commenting on things, your surroundings. And then when you actually do see a girl, and then you get a bit further along the line, which I like to say is then start approaching women. And I would do this trick that it was from the game. Mystery used to do it. He would take $100 from his client, and he said, every time you approach a girl, I'll give you $10 back. And it puts a positive affirmation in their mind and a reward system that every time they approach a girl, they're getting something for it. So then it wouldn't be like, oh, I approached this girl, oh, I got rejected, but I got my $10 back. But at the end of the day, they're like, oh, I still got my $10. It reinforces that positivity, and that's the structure I would sort of take, say, a guy that's thinking that way. And a lot of guys that I've worked with do think like that, unfortunately. And I think that's the biggest problem is the mindset itself. It's what limits people and holds people back from really achieving anything in life, from financial success to having a great dating life or talking to more women.
I couldn't agree more with that. And yeah, anybody in any realm of life, a successful businessman, relationships, etc., etc. Everything in life comes down to mindset. Like you said with the law of attraction, you could label it as a lot of people like to think that you get what you want, but I don't think you always get what you want, but you get what you are. So, it's what you're putting out is what you're attracting back. You're putting out fear, you're putting out I'm not good enough. Well, that's exactly what the universe, God, whatever you believe in is going to bring right back to you. You say and you believe, I'm confident, I can do this, etc., etc. When you start to get to that point, life starts to get a little bit less serious. I mean, we're always taking life so serious, rushing around, working all the time, I have to get this done, etc., etc., etc. But wait a minute, you take a step back. Hey, maybe it's not that serious. And right, I would even argue, you know, for anybody and any guy, it's possible to get to the point of, it's like, you see a girl that you think is attractive, you go up to her, you say hi, right? You introduce yourself, you ask her for her number, and you know, I'm sure there's, there's all different types of, people go into different psychological factors behind approaching people and what you should say, what you shouldn't say. Me personally, right? I'm just, I guess I'm simple with my friends. Usually, if I end up going up to a girl, it's usually when I'm with my friends. Because honestly, I'm not out that much in social places. Usually when I'm not with people. But anyway, if I see a girl that I think is attractive, I'll go up and say, "Hey, what's your name?" Blah blah blah. Oh, hey, no, pleasure to meet you. My name's Brad. Hey, honestly, I thought you were cute. I was wondering if I could grab your number. No,
Yeah.
or yeah, sure. And with practicing this, and you either get the number, things go well, or they don't text back, whatever it is, right? But what I realized is even when you go up to a girl and you ask her for a number, whether it works out or it doesn't, you get to say, well, at least I tried. Because George, I can't tell you how many times when I was younger, when I was probably like 15, 16, my buddy was one of my best friends to this day, was always a pretty confident guy, and he would start to go up to girls, and I'm like, well, I got to start
Yeah.
doing this too. And so sometimes we'd be out in public and there'd be a girl that I see. I'm like, oh, I feel like I want to go up and talk to her. But the nerves would get to me and I get anxious. And then the rest of the day, I think to myself, damn, I wish I just went up to her and talked to her. And then, on the flip side, when you do it and you go do it, well, you get to say, you don't get to think about it after and get so anxious about it. You're like, all right, well, I did it. Right. And also what I realize is, going along with it's not that serious. I'm sure you can agree with me on this. What is the worst possible thing that can happen if you go up to a girl and ask her for a number? She says no. Of course, the first few times you do this, or rejection in general isn't a nice feeling, but she might say no, and then maybe you feel a little hurt, and then you walk away. And what you have to understand is you have your own life. This girl has her own life. In 5 minutes from now, she's gonna forget you even exist. She's gonna forget she rejected you. She's gonna move on with her life because she's got other shit to worry about, and so do you.
Guys get wrapped up in this thought process of rejection. That's what keeps them back. They're like, I don't want to be rejected. But the thing is, if you never put yourself on that line of, oh, I can be rejected, you're never going to get a yes. You're never going to get ahead. And that's the thing. I think, like Michael Jordan says, the reason he was such a great basketball player was because of all the failures. And like saying in my own story, coming up and all that, I've had probably more rejections than I have had, successes. But at the end of the day, like, I don't really care these days if I got rejected. I would just be like, cool, whatever, what's, next, whatever. I don't really care because my value isn't attached to whether this girl says yes or no. I couldn't care less. Like, if she says yes, cool, we're going on a cool date, we'll do something cool, let's move it forward. And, you know, it's just the reality of it. And just looping back, right? When you approach a girl, it's not what you say. Like, that's probably 20% of it. 80% of the approach is when you see a girl in the first 3 seconds that you see that girl, you make a move. You don't think about it. You just do it. And to say that I still don't get anxiety approach, like, I still get anxiety approaching. Everyone does. But I've been able to train it that, first 3 seconds I see a girl that I think's attractive, I will just walk right up to her and I will just start communicating with us, just start talking to her. It doesn't matter what it is. You just walk up to her confidently. It's how you come up to it. If you're confident and you just like, oh, hey, even if you said you were confident, you came up, hey, look, I'm not gonna lie, I was a little shy coming up here talking to you, but you know, see, like, you've just like basically that's just how it is. It's just because you're confident, you're walking up with an intended purpose, and you know what? A lot of guys don't do it these days, and it's a skill, unfortunately, we've lost these days. Talking to people in general because of social media, and people struggle doing it, and it's very unfortunate.
Most guys, we just need to understand most girls aren't even being approached. Like, okay, if it's a girl
Mm.
that, she's in her late teenage years, early 20s, she's going to the club every weekend. Yes, I'm sure she's talking to a lot of guys. But your general girl who's, she works and she goes to school, this and that, most people in general, most girls aren't being approached by guys. There were a few psychological studies, surveys, and in those surveys, they discovered that approximately 70% of women said that they wish guys approached them more. And so that's just an indicator right there. You could sit here and say to yourself, oh, girls don't want to talk to guys anyway. I don't want to bother her, et cetera, et cetera. 70% of them wish more guys went up to him. Why don't you be one of those guys?
They're the ones winning. They're the ones actually getting ahead and actually I promise you, like I said in one of my previous videos, I said, okay, so if you approached, let's just say 5 girls every day, let's just say every day, and I did this, I did it with a bit more, I did 8, but you approach 5 girls every day for the next year, I promise you, by the end of that year, you have a girlfriend, you have a few girls that you're talking to, you'll be on dates every week. I promise you that thing. Like, whether it's a yes, whether it's a no, whatever. Yeah, by by doing it, you're just gonna develop the way you talk to the girl. You're gonna realize what works, what doesn't. And a lot of dating coaches can come and say, this works and that doesn't. And I can tell you a lot from my personal experience what works and what doesn't. But at the end of the day, like, it's something that when you approach and you actually go on the field and you do it, you will learn a lot more when you actually do it yourself. Like you can like a doctor, right? A doctor can sit there and read every book in the world and know every piece of knowledge. But the doctor who's actually done the procedures obviously knows a lot more because he's done it and he's experienced it and he's been in that position, and that's the real key to it. And I see a lot of guys in the dating community, they know so much, but they haven't approached one girl. And even they know so much about women, they still haven't approached one girl or hardly approach. So they don't have any results, and they're like, "Well, I know all this, but I don't have any results." And the reason, and I say to them, reason you don't have any results is because you're not actually going out there, and you're not putting yourself out there, going out wherever, to supermarket. You're at the supermarket, like classic example. You're in public all the time. You just see a beautiful woman there, and she's just walking past, grabbing some celery or something shit like that, and you're just like, yeah, fuck it, I'm gonna go up to her. Oh, hey, hey, I was looking for this. You got any recommendations? Or you could just ask her anything, like any question. You don't have to be direct. I thought you were cute. Even indirect approaches like asking girls for opinions. I used to go to bars, clubs, wherever, and I'd say, hey, look, looking at the moment, I'm like to her, well, you smell really nice. And she's like, oh, thank you. And I say, what are you wearing? And she'll be like, oh, I don't know. I'm wearing this. And if she doesn't respond to that, and she goes, oh, I don't know what I'm wearing. And I'll play it off. I'll be like, oh, I bet you're that girl who has 17 little bottles in front of her mirror at home of little perfume bottles and da da da. Da. And then I'd say, the reason I'm asking is because I'm looking for a present for someone. And I'm looking for this special woman in my life. I'm looking for a present, and I'm looking for, a little, perfume. But I feel like if I go to the store, they're gonna rip me off. So, what are you wearing? Because I really like the scent, and I feel like you as a woman would know. See, it's an opinion, or I'm asking her for an opinion, and she instantly starts talking to me, breaks the ice, and then when I start chatting to her after that, and I introduce myself, it's not awkward. There's no silence there. It's not like, oh, they're like, oh, he's trying to hit on me. There's so many girls that I've just gone up like with an approach like that, or just asked an opinion, and we've just had a great chat. And then what's ended up happening is we've gone on dates, or she's come home with me, or we've had a good time together, whatever it was, just simply because I asked her an opinion on something, and then we just sort of progressed it.
For the guys who are just super socially anxious, never approached a girl in their life, go up to girls and have a normal conversation with them, and don't even ask for their number at the end. Like, just do not. You don't even have to go into the conversation with, I want to get to know this, or I want to, grab this person's number and escalate. It's like, just have the conversation with her, and because guess what? I feel like a lot of guys have this perception that's like girls are like this different being. She's a human being. Guys are human beings. We're all human beings. We all have different lives. We're all trying to figure our lives out. Just have a normal conversation. If you're just super socially anxious, and you see where the conversation is going, and if you want to ask for someone for their number, you can. If not, just you'll build up your just social courage in just having normal conversations with people.
You want to know a piece of something I say to a lot of guys when they go and approach? I say, try to get rejected. The reason I say that is because when they go into the interaction and they're like, try to get rejected, they don't give a shit about what they say, and it rubs off on the girl that, okay, this guy doesn't care, he's confident. Like, think about it. When you go to a girl and you're not really interested in her, you don't really give a shit. So when you start talking to that woman, she's just like, she somehow is all of a sudden interested in you. All the women that you have no interest in are all of a sudden interested in you, but the women that you actually want and desire aren't into you. And then people are like, why is that the case? And it's simply because you don't give a shit um when you're with that girl. But when you're with a girl that you actually like or you think's cute, you're just like, you put this pressure on yourself that it needs to be like this, it needs to be like that, and you actually care too much, and you're trying too hard, and you're in your head a lot. The thing is just don't give a shit. Be your own person, And the more you don't give a shit, that you say some. I've said some stuff to women that my friends have sat there and said, how the fuck do you say that? How do you say that? Why hasn't she slapped you? Why hasn't she done this? It's because I don't give a shit, and the way I say it in a way that's like no shit's given, and I say it in a very like lucrative way, and I can say some of the most seedy shit there is to women, and people say, that's really weird that you said that, but she thinks it's hot at the time. She thinks she loves it because it's just, yeah, because I don't give a shit. Simple as that.
If you're able to go into a conversation just being lighthearted and not caring in the sense of I'm gonna say what's on my mind and we're just gonna have a conversation. However it goes, it goes. That will make it so much more naturally flowing in any conversation in the world, rather than okay, she said this. Okay, now what should I say this or this next? Which one would she would like better? This and then you're just shooting yourself in the foot. That's all you're doing. Definitely in my earlier experiences when I was younger. I remember one girl specifically, maybe it was when I was like 15 or something, where I had this huge crush on this girl because I thought she was very pretty. What's your advice to guys who have a crush on a girl they've never even talked to?
Okay, good question. I was actually in a similar position when so I went from in Australia. It sort of works like this. You go from primary school. So I was in all boys private school, primary school. I was about 13. I've moved to high school. And the funny thing is, I'd never really spoken to a woman, and I'm, going through puberty at this time. And I remember there was this one girl that I had the biggest crush on. Her name was Amy. And long story short is I saw her in the canteen line, and I tried talking to her, and it kind of blew up in my face because then she went and told every woman in the grade level, and then every girl sort of wasn't like sort of pushing me away. But my biggest thing is to someone say my age was like the thing is, yeah, it's great to chat, but especially in a school environment, people laugh at you, people do things, and um, don't let it put you off what other people think. It's just because they're insecure themselves and not afraid to do it themselves. I think is the biggest issue, and look, they'll make fun of you, but at the end of the day, I think like going back, to the red pill stuff, and this is a part I agree with is when I started getting very good with women was, I just was talking to multiple girls, just talking to different girls. And then when I started discovering myself and I started, finding my passions and I started, sort of respecting myself more as a guy. And I went through some hardships at the time, family, divorces, all that kind of crap. And my family was a mess, deaths and stuff, and I had to grow up. And at that point, when I went through that shit and I, experienced that, after that, and I discovered myself a bit more and I had more value in myself, then that's when I started actually just doing super well with women. I just found myself, not giving a shit, like you said, and obviously respecting myself more. So certain things women would try, I would just, I wouldn't accept it. I would have boundaries. And I think women find that guy that stands up, has boundaries, does that sort of thing is hot. But I recommend to that 15-year-old out there, 14-year-old in high school has come in. There's all these girls. My thing is just talk to them. Just talk to them normally. Just invite them out somewhere. Don't make it too like, oh, it's a date. Just invite them out. Just be yourself. Have fun. Just literally have fun. That's my main thing. And you know what? Who don't give a shit about what all the other kids are saying, because at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, right. Everyone's gonna move on with their life, and
Exactly.
so many people are so quick to judge everyone else and think about what everyone else is doing, but we never really look to judge ourselves, which is what we should be doing. We should be judging ourselves and not other people because that's where improvement comes from. I was also thinking about the aspect of really liking someone but not knowing who they are, right? So, like, for example, fast forward, I guess, when you're younger, it's a little bit different, but of course, let's fast forward to your late teenage years. You're becoming a really conscious person, you're growing up, you could say, whatever. My argument would be if you think you have a crush on a girl, maybe it's at work or wherever, and you see this girl kind of often, you think she's cute, but you never really talk to her and you don't know anything about her. You should probably go and talk to her in order to get a little grasp on who she is, because maybe you have this crush on her, you're like, oh, should I go up to her? Should I talk to her? And then you go up to her and you hear the way she talks and what she's talking about, and you're like, "Ooh, I thought I had a crush on this girl. This girl, she doesn't seem like she's for me. You know, she's saying this and that. That's kind of rude and this and that." And so my whole thing, or what I've, I guess suppose kind of developed is, it's like you can't really truly like someone if you don't actually know who they are. You know what I'm getting at?
I completely get you. I think people make their assumptions just based off beauty alone, like what they see on the outline. And I'm not gonna lie, like for me to be with the girl, definitely have to be attracted to her. It's important, and people will say that it's not, and it's about the person. But at the end of the day, like cool, she's hot, but is she a nice person? Is she interesting? And the thing is, in my years, I've met some of the most gorgeous models that you could imagine, and girls that are like, lingerie models, shit like that from Italy and stuff like that. And some of these girls have been super shallow, haven't been really the nicest people. And believe it or not, some of the prettiest girls you see, even influencers, are some of the most insecure people you ever meet in your entire life. And that's very interesting that I've seen in the trajectory. Usually, and it's not everyone, but usually the hotter the girl is, the more insecure she is about herself. And you don't really see it unless you actually talk to the girl, and it's kind of interesting actually.
In certain cases, that would make sense because posting things on social media, posting pictures of yourself has become the norm at this point. And, you know, there's no way I can come out here and say every girl that posts pictures of herself is insecure. I'm not saying that. But, it would definitely make sense some girls that are posting pictures of themselves all the time to get attention from people, to get likes, et cetera, is because, they're a little bit insecure about themselves and, getting compliments from people, it makes them feel good about themselves. And, there's nothing wrong with that, right? But if you rely on that, guys and girls both, if you rely on the validation of other people, you'll never feel secure within yourself and you'll never actually solve the issue of whatever
Mm,
the reason is that you're insecure in the first place. And look, I'm gonna come and say women have it tough. With all the beauty standards and you have to wear makeup, you have to wear this, you have to do this and this and this. It's hard, and guys have that too, right? Guys, you have to do this and this and this. There's all these social standards that are thrown in our faces. Some of us are able to develop to the point where it's like, all right, well, that's how people want me to act. Well, I'm just gonna be myself and see what happens. Um, but some people get so stuck in those norms, and it's like, okay, I have to do this. I have to put on makeup for 3 hours every morning, or else I don't feel good enough about myself. And hot take, I would say that's a problem. If you are a woman and you have to do makeup for 3 hours every morning and you don't feel good enough without it. Now, I'm not saying you can't do it and it's bad to do it. Take pleasure in doing it. You think you look a little bit better. Nothing wrong with that. But if there's a morning where you just don't have enough time to put on the makeup and you go out without it and your entire day is ruined because you don't feel you look good enough now, there's certain reflection and improvement that you need to do in
mm.
yourself for yourself.
Because then at that point it's all based around validation. Because the reason she's putting on the makeup, and I'll tell you this, men are attracted to what they see, women are attracted to what they hear. So that's why you know a lot of men lie about how much I make or what things, certain things, to be like, and the woman's like, oh my god. And then that's why women put on a lot of makeup, to be like, oh my god, look at me, and like get that validation. That's sort of how it
Mhm.
works. But I think definitely at that point, makeup, is, I think it's an interesting topic, I think, because there's reasons women will use it to just look nice or to look a little bit more presentable, some women, and then other women will just completely dox it on. Like there was a girl I went to school with, she looked like a completely different person without the makeup to the makeup. And it was kind of funny because with the makeup, she looked attractive, and then without it, it was like I was just like, could I? And then that's the thing. It's so tricky. I don't know if you've ever seen. There's this video online actually, kind of crazy. There's this girl, and she looks like, she's been on, I don't know, whatever. No disrespect to her, but she does her makeup and she shows the transformation from the first step to the last step, and she looks like a completely different person. And I think, I don't know if you've ever seen the video. It's kind of a viral video, and she completely does the makeup, and it's like she goes from, someone that you find attractive, no offense, and then she goes to like this girl that's just absolutely stunning, like drop dead gorgeous Victoria's Secret model, and you're just like, how?
Yeah, and it's tough because a lot of guys will come out and say it's like, oh yeah, she has to go look good without makeup, and I would agree with that because if you're only gonna find her attractive when she has makeup on, if you get married to the girl, well, she might not have makeup all the time, so you're gonna be able to look at her like without that, and men and women both, you have to be attracted to the other person. But of course, the argument is, nothing's black and white. And of course, everybody finds different people attractive. Like I can look at a girl and say, oh no, I don't find her attractive. And you could look at a girl and say, I think she's a 10 out of 10, right? And that's
Mm,
just
yeah.
we have a difference in opinion, and that's completely fine. Another thing that I think too many of men do is get what they can get and not have any boundaries, not have any standards. What's your take on getting what you can get if I'm wording it right?
Oh, get what you can get. Oh, that's classic, guys. Oh, it's actually a classic because there's guys that can't, because they're not willing to go out for those high quality women. They'll just there's these girls, like there's a few girls, and they sort of sleep around quite a lot. They're mid. They're not the best looking women. They don't look after themselves. And the only reason the guy will sleep with him is simply because he's like, oh, I need to sleep with someone because I haven't slept with someone in a while, or I haven't done this, or and they will literally they don't find the girl attractive whatsoever, but they're just doing it for, I think, an ego standpoint about, oh, I slept with this girl, I slept with a girl, and oh my god, like that they can do it. And I think it's the worst thing you can do as a person because at that point you're undervaluing yourself as a male, especially in the sexual marketplace. You're sort of like to yourself, I can't get better than this. You put yourself in a position where you put in your mindset by sleeping with this girl, getting with this girl, going on a date with this girl, I can't do better. And it's kind of sad because I see a lot of guys these days and men these days that are with women that they don't want to be with. They hate their lives because they married a woman that they just settled for. And my big take was, you never settle for less. Like I didn't date a girl, like properly date a girl. At the moment, I'm dating someone, but didn't properly date a girl for 4 or 5 years. And the simplicity of that was because I would go on many dates with different girls. I met so many girls, different parts of the world, everywhere. And I said to myself, I got to figure out what I like, what I'm into, and also, can I see myself being long term or marrying this girl? If you can't see yourself marrying or being long term with a girl, what's the point of dating her? It's just like, because you spend so much time and energy in the relationship and on a particular woman. I think if the woman isn't benefiting you, or she doesn't make you happy, and you don't, feel excited to be around her, and you go out and you're just like, what's the point? It's just like, it's just filling a void, I think.
Settling is one of the worst things you can do as a man or a woman, and the general advice is just avoid it at all costs. To bring up an interesting example of, in this case, a girl who settled, you could say, there's somebody that I'm in contact with that I'm friends with. He's at least 10 years older than me, I'd say, and he was telling me about this girl that he dated. They broke up, and over the years they would talk sometimes, just catch up, whatever. And she got engaged to a guy. And right before they were going to get married, she calls my buddy up and she says, I miss you. You're so much better than blah, 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 who I'm marrying now, this and that. And I sat there and I thought to myself, not only, oh my God, this is absolutely horrible, but and it's horrible for both parties, right? What's even worse is that she's even coming out and saying this to my buddy. And the even worse thing is that the guy she's marrying has no idea, right? He's getting married. He thinks he's marrying the love of his life and they're going to have a happy ever after. and secretly in this girl's mind, oh yeah, but he was better and he was cooler and he was this and that. I I couldn't even imagine, man. And that's she settled, right? She settled for this guy. The reason couldn't tell you that. I don't know, but either way, to me that's just horrible.
And you know what's going to end up happening in that situation? And I don't like the cool shots, but what's going to end up happening is most likely she's going to end up cheating on him. And because say someone with more value than that guy, someone with more money, more in his life comes up to that girl, and she's going to go out for a girls' weekend or some bullshit, do something, and this guy who's got more than this guy that she's dating and just comes over and just starts talking to her, she's going to be like, oh my god, and she's going to end up cheating on her husband, and then it's going to end up in a divorce. And whether they have kids at that point or not, then what's going to end up happening is it's just going to become messy, and it's going to go down the old same narrative that nearly 60-70% of marriages go through. And I guarantee you the reason that she's thinking like that is a lot to do not just on her, but also on the guy. I think the way he handles the relationship, the way he handles her, the dynamics, it's just not it. It's just he doesn't really have the proper dynamic probably in that relationship. If you got the proper dynamic and you understand a woman, how she sort of acts, how she thinks, emotional capacity, all these sort of things, and have that mindset, then the woman won't cheat on you. She won't, because she sees you as valuable. She sees you as someone that's got boundaries. She sees you as this strong leader, and that's very important in a woman's mind. A protector, guy can protect her, these sort of things, and he's probably doesn't have that mindset, and that's the biggest issue. And that's where my thing is. I want to help guys with, they don't have a mindset, and before they get into positions that they completely ruin their lives, whether that's settling down or marrying or whatever it is, because eventually this stuff like sort of rolls on and it leads on to bigger issues in life. And it's better to address these issues earlier and fix them, and then instead of them going later on and going, oh, my wife just cheated on me, she just divorced me. And the thing, like having boundaries, like say a girl's like, oh, I want to go out to Vegas with my friends for the weekend, I want to go here, and you say to her, cool, you can go there, but I'm just letting you know I don't take women that do that sort of thing seriously. So, when you come back, don't expect me to take you seriously, or to, this to be a thing. So you just put that out there that you're not afraid to leave and that you got standards. And this is where I draw the line. And if you want to cross the line, that's completely up to you. I'm not going to stop you. But just know if you do cross the line, I'm out.
A lot of girls that hear that initially would be like, "Oh, I can't believe he wouldn't let me go out and this and that." You know, with that being said, you can find a guy that will let you go out and do that, right? And so what this all goes back to is boundaries, right? And
Yeah,
everybody's an individual person with the right to have certain boundaries. You have that boundary, hey, if you go out and do this, we can't be together. And if she respects you and wants to be with you, she will say, okay, and you guys will make a compromise, and she won't do it. Or if she can't make that compromise, then you guys won't be together, right?
yeah,
And
exactly. It's putting your foot down and standing for what your values are as a man. And that's where a lot of guys go wrong in simping. This is where the whole simping thing is. When the girl's like, oh, you're the worst because you did this. And she's like, oh, you're terrible. It's put your foot down. You say, no, I just don't respect women that do that. And you know what? I got more value for myself than that. I got more appreciation for what I stand for. If you don't stand for what I stand for, then yeah, see you later. That's just it. It's just putting it simple. Because why should a girl, like in my own experience, why should a girl be on a weekend with a bunch of her single girlfriends out in the club, just advertising herself? Because it's like all she wants in a skimpy dress or some skimpy thing, just to get male attention. And oh yeah, she gets drunk or she gets spiked or something happens. It's like good old Andrew Tate, Tristan Tate. Why would I, the locks might be the best lock system on my car in the world, but I'm not gonna park my bloody Bugatti in the bloody ghetto in the hood where it's gonna get stolen, am I? That's just the classic analogy, and it's just one of those things. And maybe if she's the type of girl that wants to always do that, and she's always, oh, I want to party with my girlfriends out in Vegas. Maybe she's not the right girl. Maybe you can look at that. It's a red flag and say, hey, is this the type of girl that I see dating? And I find in my own experience, this is one thing that I find absolutely amazing with women. Through my years of dating women, when there's women that go, oh my God, I've never done this before, or you show them and you show them something new and they've never seen it or never done it before. And they're like, oh my God, this is amazing. I've never been to the party like this. I've never done that. And you show them those experiences for the first time. It means a lot to you as a man. I think you've probably experienced it where you've taken a woman out and she's like, oh, I've never done this. This is so cool. I've never been here before. But then when you get a woman who's like, say you had a car and she knows how to open the car and she's been here, she's like, oh, yeah, yeah. And knows, say you go to the bloody bar, this particular bar, and she knows every person there. Like, you know what I mean? That's the type of thing that sort of I'm just like, it kind of gives me red flags and I'm not a big fan of.
I would even argue that depending on the girl, if a bunch of her single friends are, saying they want to go and do that, she might be like, hey, guys have fun, but, maybe she would rather spend time with you, right? And you're not going to have to worry about her going behind your back or, going and doing that if you have the boundaries in place. Like, right, everybody's different. If you're a guy and you don't care that a girl goes out and parties on the weekend, that's fine, right? That's your boundary. Everybody has our own boundaries, and everybody has to make their own decisions and their own thought processes. And that my point is, the issue is, and I've even suffered from this in the past,
Mm,
is not making boundaries clear. What I've learned over the past few years, you can't get mad at someone for doing something that you never said wasn't okay. A girl might say something to you or word something a certain way or do something that's not completely outrageous, but to you it might make you a little bit upset. But you have the right to get upset at any human being for something that they do. But if you're dating this person, you're with them,
mm.
and you never said to them, "Hey, I'm not okay. It's not okay with me if you do this." If you never said that to them, who's it's not really their fault, is
Yeah,
it?
exactly. No, no, because they don't, because the boundary was never set there. But that's the interesting point you get to there, is women will subconsciously test your boundaries, and they will test you, shit test your boundaries consistently within relationships, or when you're with a woman or you're getting more serious with a girl. She'll just consistently just test, and she'll see where those boundaries lie, and she'll be like, oh, there's a boundary here. I don't cross this. And the more she can push you and the more boundaries she can cross, the less the woman's going to actually respect you. That's what I find is a case. And there's a great book that I recommend any guy out there who wants to learn more about women and men's dynamics, about women dynamics and how they are, is The Way of the Superior Man. It's a very good book in terms of teaching about dynamics of women and how they act. And
Her testing your boundaries and her slithering her way in if she can, that's where manipulation takes place, right? And guys can do this too, of course. When you find out and you can move your way in and test people, and okay, they're insecure about this. Okay, they don't trust themselves. They're not secure in themselves. They don't respect themselves. Okay, well now I can make way in. I could, maybe get some money from them, get some this from them, use them for this, right? And this is anybody really is subject to manipulation potentially, but especially
mm,
somebody with a weak mind. And this men and women both, right? If you're not confident in yourself, you're struggling, you're the most target for evil people, you could say. Although I don't think anyone
yeah,
starts out evil. I think people learn it as a habit based on their experiences. The best thing you can do in life is level yourself up. And as a guy, a lot of guys are like, all right, let me, improve my mindset in this so I can get women. And you can have that belief, right? You can want to get women as a result of that. But ultimately, I'll always say you have to do that stuff for yourself because ultimately, whether your goal is to sleep with 100 girls or just find a wife or whatever in between that is, if you cannot respect yourself and you can't get yourself to the place that you want to get, you'll never be satisfied in life. It's like anything external. It's like I am alive and you are alive, George, 24/7
Mm,
until
mm.
we part on this planet. And I'm the only person that's spending 24/7 with myself, and you're the only person that you're spending 24/7 with, right? And so instead of first focusing on let me get someone else to like me, well, let me get someone else to love me. Wait, let me take a little step back. Do I even like myself? Do I care about myself? Do I love myself? I hear this all the time. You have to love yourself. You have to care about yourself before you get into a relationship. I generally speaking, I would agree with that statement because if you're always looking for love and care through someone else and it's lacking in yourself, it will never be enough, right? Because you can be a really insecure guy, have nothing going for you, life sucks, and then you get a girlfriend and it's like, "Oh, she loves me, everything's so good." But my argument would be if your life isn't going good, that relationship will not last forever. And when it ends, whether it ends within the next month, 5 years, 10 years,
Mm.
when it
Yeah,
ends, you will be right back where you started and your life will still suck and you realize nothing changed. And so,
yeah.
that just adds to the importance of you got to work on yourself and you got to get yourself to the best possible version of yourself, even though I think we're always a work in progress, constantly working on yourself to better yourself, to gain new knowledge about the world. I mean, it's just finding stuff you're interested in and researching about it and learning about it and, sharing that information with
Mm.
people. And, people love it when you're passionate about something and you can share information with them.
Yeah.
People love to talk about themselves. A huge human psychology hack you could say is just ask people questions. People absolutely love to talk about themselves.
Yeah, just get people talking. That's the big secret, really. In anything, you get people talking, you'll find out a lot because people will love their own voice and love talking about themselves.
And it allows people to feel heard, right? It's they're listening to me, and you might not even really be doing or saying anything, but if you're just asking questions and listening and showing that you're actually listening and you actually care about what someone's saying, that makes them like you more. A
Mm.
lot of people nowadays say that masculinity itself is toxic. What do you think about that?
I think that is the biggest load of crap that I've ever heard. Because you tell me, all through history, masculinity has pushed the world further. It's been the reason why women have been saved in situations. Like the classic analogy I go to, okay, so someone's breaking into the house. Yeah, am I toxic masculine all of a sudden? Is this toxic masculinity? I think it's just a thing that feminists made to be, I guess, think that they're better than men, and it's a new analogy in the world. So women can categorize men that are actually masculine and have boundaries because they're trying to tear down the. I really believe this that they're really trying to tear down the male and female dynamics in society. They're trying to make women more masculine and men more feminine. And people say, it's just a conspiracy shit. But you just look at the world itself, just have a look, genuinely look, and you see that men are, aren't what they used to be. A lot of men. There's only a percentage now that are masculine, and and then the women are very like, you got rights, girl. You got this. You got that. It's that. Don't listen to him. And I actually had a very interesting situation on that. So my friend was dating a girl, and basically she tried to. So I introduced. I thought she was cool at the start. She was kind of cool, but she was a bit on the feminist side of things, and I introduced my girlfriend to her because I thought, why not? It'd be nice. And we were out we were gonna go out one night, and I got really sick. And basically, this is a classic example. She calls up my girlfriend. My girlfriend's like, "I'm gonna stay there with you, look after you. You're sick. You're not feeling the best. I'm not going." And she calls up, "Well, you don't have to listen to what he says. You don't have to listen to everything he says. You don't." And she just sort of switched off because my frame's really strong. I'm just like, I put that frame out there that I'm to be respected. My boundaries are here, my boundaries are there, and that's the thing that sort of it annoyed me because a lot of women are like that. You don't have to listen to what he says, and they say it to their girlfriends, and yeah, a lot of relationships, like that's why a lot of relationships just go bust and things, because of that.
She says that to your girlfriend. It's like, well, what if I do want to be there for him? What if I want to help him out? Is that not what a relationship is about? And to the point on feminism, my argument or my belief at the moment is that feminism used to be making women equal to men, and now it's trying to make women better than men. And women taking the masculine role and stuff like that. Like in terms of women in the workplace and working all that stuff's great. Like, the world is a better place that girls aren't locked in a kitchen and but and if you look at research studies, for example, women, they can enjoy, having a job. But the women that say, hey, I just want to have a career, I don't want to have kids, I don't want to get married, they in a lot of these studies you see that these women, they start to get older and they get very bitter because biologically speaking, men and women both were supposed to have kids. Women obviously have the kids come out of them. And this is generally speaking a part of biology, right? It's kind of one of those, now of course we all have the free will, okay, I'm going to have a kid or I don't want to have kids, etc., etc. But biologically speaking, in terms of you looking at these studies, a lot of women who choose not to have kids or choose to just work and not and say, "Oh, I don't need a man." They get when they start to get older, they get a little bit bitter, and they get very lonely, and this is natural, right? I mean, it's like,
Mm,
and same with guys. If you just say, "I'm going to work and I never want a girlfriend, I never have time for a relationship, I never want to do this," right? It's not good, and it's a very negative connotation and negative expectation to give people and have people recite over and over again because as human beings, men and women both, we're social creatures. We want to have connections with people. We want to have romantic relationships. We want people to care about us. We want to care about other people. And when you put on a front, because that's what these people are doing, they're putting on a front saying, no, I don't need a guy. I don't need a girl. You're just bullshitting yourself. And, in the
mm.
short term, you might be okay. Probably will be okay. In the long run, you will not be.
No, that's so true. Yeah, I agree with you on that. When you start going down those routes of saying, I'll do this, like the way society says things you don't realize is that um, at the moment society is trying to go against biology and trying to go against the
Mm,
general structure. And I'm very traditional as a man. I like to keep things traditional. I like to keep things simple, and I find it works a lot better because you ask me, any guy here can go ask their grandma, their mum, their grandma, or someone, older who is in that traditional frame of mind, and see how their marriage went, how their life is, their kids and all that, and see how happy they are and how much purpose they have in their life simply because of that. And the moment you start, following society more and going towards what society wants and society values, and go against I guess, the traditional thing. And the thing is, like guys like the Tates and a lot of these guys, the stuff they're saying 15 years ago, 20 years ago, would have been just normal, normal stuff. It's just normal key, just stuff that exists in the world. These days, it's like you're saying this absurd thing that's absolutely insane, like having, boundaries and, all that sort of thing. And the crazy thing is, I recently last week got shadow banned by Instagram. And the reason I reckon I got shadow banned by Instagram is because I'm teaching or I'm trying to preach a different, say, more traditional masculine frame and trying to teach people, it's okay to do this and be like that. And I think Instagram, and the general pop the society has an agenda towards these things, and I'm not fitting their agenda because I've been getting quite a lot of traction behind my videos.
My friend told me something the other day. He said, if you're getting a little bit of hate thrown at you, probably doing something right. Not always,
Yeah.
right? Of course, but generally speaking, you might be doing something right. And because, sometimes the norm or the most popular thing doesn't necessarily mean it's the best thing. I mean, it's like, societies and civilizations have collapsed because everybody believed one thing, but wasn't the right thing. I'm a firm believer in you doing what you want with your life, you going your own way, you doing something different, and you just
Mm.
authentically being yourself, and that seems as though what you're doing with your social media presence. So props to you for that.
Yeah, yeah, appreciate it.
George, it was a pleasure talking to you today.
Nah, it was great, Brad. Cheers. I appreciate it a lot, and definitely do cover some good topics, and yeah.
Where can people check out your content, your socials, etc.?
So check out my content, my socials at Set the Standard. So my Instagram, if DM me mindset or just DM me anything, and we can work one on one. I can help you, obviously, develop your dating life where you are currently in life, not just from a dating standpoint, but also from a self development standpoint on how you view yourself and your confidence overall as a man. I think that's the most important part. So yeah, that's and thank you for the great podcast and all the storytelling and all the stories. Loved hearing everything and learning about you and your experiences personally. And I think a lot of guys out here will share similar experiences in some way or another and relate a lot with this content. So it's very important guys listen to this and get on board and really make changes in their lives before and live their dream life before things go the other way for them. So yeah, that's my whole
Abs-
mission.
Absolutely. That's awesome, George. We'll catch
Mm.
you guys in the next one. Peace.
Yeah, cheers. See you later.